Shalom, family. I just want to start by saying make sure you take advantage and grab your hair products while they're on sale. Up until the 24th of this month, you can get everything marked down 30% on Etsy. Cyber 30, but everything is already marked down. You really don't have to use the promo code. So during the time you're checking out, it will automatically come off 30%. You should even see it when you are looking at the products. The price should already be deducted. So get it while you can. I'm telling you, before the prices go back up. So we're going to talk about people not even having the opportunity to take their citizens' oath. You know, Donald Trump may believe it's him doing this. It's actually the Most High. The Most High is not going to allow any more people come in this land to become citizens. And this is really telling you that is over. It is really over. It is to the point, y'all. It's not even about taking the oath. ICE is now detaining people going for their final green card interview. They're getting detained just for that. So it's over. You know, before we were hearing about people getting detained when they were making their court appearance. Now it has gone well beyond that. Can you imagine? You've been here for years and years, and now it's time for you to get sworn in as a citizen, and you're not even allowed to do it years later. Now, you remember they were really harping on, oh, well, if you do things right and you don't break the law and you just do everything right. Well, it doesn't make a difference now. You can do everything right, be in this country for years, decades, and go for that final green card interview, go to get sworn in, and you get detained by ICE. It doesn't even matter what you do right. It no longer makes any difference. And it just goes to show you that is all officially shut down. It is shut down for real. So, y'all, now you're going to hear it from the horse's mouth. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you, everybody.
So apparently ICE is pulling up at the part where immigrants say their oath for citizenship and detaining people. Okay. So I got a quick question for those of you who, wanted this. You guys say, this is what I voted for. A lot of you getting married this year, right? No, you're freshly engaged. Congratulations on that, by the way. So how would you feel if right before your ceremony, somebody came and knocked all those teeth out your motherfucking head, all 2 or 3 of them, because we know you don't have any, or they punched you in the nose and broke it, right at your rehearsal dinner? How would you feel about that? How would you feel about that? I don't think you heard me. How would you feel about that? Because me personally, I'd love to see that. See, that's what I voted for, the ability, or rather the privilege, to go and knock bigots' teeth down their motherfucking throat. See, I subscribe to a different kind of amusement than you racists. Y'all really want to say the hard ER, huh? How would you feel about being put there? Huh? How would you feel about being put there? Because me personally, I think that would be wonderful. You know, I hear it's really difficult to go and say your vows if you're unconscious. You ever hear anything about that? You know, this just might be something you might want to consider while you're saying, oh, this is what I voted for, or they need to do it the right way when they are doing it the right way. Or better yet, I have another analogy. You know, since these people are being kidnapped, what if somebody just, you know, came up to your wedding and admitted they fucked your wife? Just straight up at the wedding. Why are you about to go say it when they say, you know, if you feel these two should not be wed, speak now, or forever hold your peace? You know, what if somebody just raised their hand and be like, oh yeah, put her through the mattress? It wouldn't feel good, would it? It would be like somebody kidnapped your wife. Or basically, they already did. She wouldn't really be yours. She's ours, right? See, what I want you racists to do is I want you to think about your life right now and how you want it to stay that way and how other people want their lives to stay the way that they are. Now, you either let that shit happen or we can all go down. Now then, did I make myself clear enough? Because I feel like I did. Now then, have the day you deserve.
Bro, you know America is becoming a dictatorship when ICE is stopping ceremonies of citizenship. Like, this is the whole naturalization process. This is how you become an American, and it's the right way. Like, everybody's saying it. But gang, what's the right way? If you gonna kill people, you gonna stop oath ceremonies, you taking people back, even if they're citizens, just because they don't have their passport IDs on them and stuff like that, bro. Like, dude, what are you talking about? There should be a way better way to handle that. But at the same time, though, it's crazy though. Damn, like, it was in New York, Houston. I don't even know what the last Texas, but it was bad, bro. Those are like way bigger states. I gotta lock in.
Community members spent 8 hours outside the USCIS building in downtown Salt Lake City after recent reports of ICE arresting people at their immigration check-ins. They tell me this building's supposed to be a safe space, but now it's not. It was supposed to be Jair Solis's final green card interview, but last Tuesday, when he and his wife Lexi went into the building with his lawyer,
the USCIS officer asked if just Jair could go back, and I went with him because I was his attorney. Instead of going into an interviewing room, we went into another room where there were 2 ICE agents.
Armstrong says this was a shock.
I immediately understood what was happening. But we haven't seen that in Utah. He has no criminal history. I wasn't going to the interview thinking that there was going to be any sort of a problem.
Jair came to the U.S. when he was young on a visa and has been married for 5 years. Armstrong says the reasoning the officers gave was because he overstayed his visa.
That's a legitimate reason. It's not that it's an illegitimate detention. It just, we have not seen it right at the very last minute when we have a client that's about to get over the finish line.
Jair was taken to an ICE facility in Arizona.
He didn't have an opportunity to speak to his wife. And so after they had taken him away, then I went and spoke to his wife and had to tell her exactly what happened. And she was quite distraught, obviously.
This sparked outrage from people here in Utah, with many standing outside the USCIS building for 8 hours Monday.
We wanted to send a strong message to ICE, knowing that they were planning on showing up and intimidating and detaining people. The community stands with immigrants and that we oppose these ICE actions.
I found Luis Villarreal participating in the protest, and he told me this hits close to home.
I was born to 2 immigrant parents. I mean, my mom just 2 years ago was at this building getting her green card and her residency. For ICE to show up and make that difficult for people, to ruin those moments for people, it just goes to show that they don't care about the community.
Armstrong says they will work to get Jair out on bond just to start the final interview process over again.
To put him through this process honestly does not serve a purpose in his case other than to cause him to suffer. And so then you wonder, what's the purpose?
But as for now, it's a waiting game.
New reports show immigrants who were approved for U.S. citizenship are being pulled out of line right before they take their oath. This is happening now in America, and it is starting after a new policy from the Trump administration. As of December 2nd, USCIS has paused all citizenship cases from people in 19 countries the administration calls high risk. Many of these people did everything the law asked. They lived here for years. They passed all their checks. I mean, they were cleared. They were ready to become Americans. But at some ceremonies, officers have been walking in, calling out names, and taking people away just minutes before they take the oath. They were not told why, they were just stopped. This is a major shift and it leaves families in fear. I mean, if you do everything right and you still get pulled away, I mean, what does that, mean for the rule of law in our own country? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. My name is Jared Zisser. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Substack, and YouTube for breaking news, updates, and the full story.
Green card holder arrested at his U.S. citizenship interview. So this is part 2. So basically what happened to Caspar is he married a United States citizen, had some kids, filed for his conditional green card, but then skipped the step of filing for his I-751 removal of conditions and went straight to the citizenship, filed his N-400. And at that interview, guess what? ICE was there waiting on him and they detained him. And based on reports, he is still detained. So what did he do wrong? He did not file his I-751, which you are required to do once you get a conditional green card. You have to file an I-751 removal of conditions and get your permanent green card, right? He failed to do that. Typically, in some cases, you can file the I-751 removal of conditions and the N-400 citizenship at the same time, but he forgot that crucial step. So what is next for Caspar? Well, he's going to be put into removal proceedings where he can actually prove the basis of his marriage in a merit hearing, and the judge will determine if he can still remove his conditions or not. The answer is yes. He has 4 kids, right? If that is not the option that is available to him, if the court doesn't allow that, then the wife can simply refile for him. I don't see him getting deported unless he has some type of criminal history that we do not know about. So what are the problems that people run into when they file their I-751? Well, the problems that they run into is even if they're still with their spouse, they cannot prove that they're still in a bona fide marriage. They don't have updated records, updated taxes, and they cannot prove that they did not enter into the marriage for a good faith bona fide reason. A lot of people run into this problem. But what if you got divorced before that I-751? Time for filing. Well, you can still file it without your spouse and you can do a waiver, but you would still have to prove that that marriage you entered into it in good faith and you didn't enter into it to circumvent immigration laws. You can also remove your conditions if you were abused, if you were subjected to abuse and cruelty from your U.S. citizen spouse. You can remove that at any point in time. And last but not least, you can, if you're
This could get you detained at your green card interview. So if you've ever been in removal proceedings, it's really important that you make sure you do not have a removal order. A removal order is essentially the end of the road of a removal proceeding. Maybe you filed asylum and it was denied, so the judge ordered you removed. Maybe you were put in removal proceedings and you didn't go to the hearing for whatever reason, so you were ordered removed automatically. So what can happen is that if you don't leave the country, you run the risk of being detained. So even if you marry a U.S. citizen, when you go to the interview for your green card, you can be detained by ICE and taken. So just because you're married, it doesn't actually protect you. If that is the case, you have to try to reopen your removal case to set aside the removal order or at least close it temporarily in order to allow your petition to be approved to then go back to court and try to either terminate it if you have illegal entry or leave it admin and closed so that you can do the waiver process. Otherwise, you're going to run the risk of being detained by ICE, and bonds are going to be up for grabs whether or not you get out. So if you're ever been in removal proceedings, it's probably wise to do a FOIA, or if you have access to your docket, to check the docket to make sure there actually isn't a final order of removal, because you're going to be at a risk of being detained. So if you have questions about this, or if you're going through this process, as always, you can use the link in my bio to schedule a consultation. I'd be more than happy to discuss your case with you.
It's official. ICE has now detained more non-citizens than at any time in the history of the United States. More than 61,000 people are right now being detained by ICE for deportation. And the estimates are that it'll be more than 107,000 people by January 2026. About a year ago, I did a TikTok video, said, where is Trump going to get these judges, the jail cells, the planes to deport everybody? Well, it's coming from the big, beautiful bill that the Republicans passed over the summer. $45 billion for immigration detention. And as of now, the average detention is 44 days in jail. Contrary to rhetoric about criminal illegal aliens, 71% of ICE detainees have no criminal record whatsoever. Of the remainder, majority of them have minor criminal offenses, like traffic offenses. There is only a small percentage of people in ICE detention with serious criminal records. 80% of the immigrants being held in detention are being held by private companies making a profit off of the immigration machine. GEO Group and Core Civic to be.
It's happening. Some immigrants are being detained at their citizenship interviews. We talked about in previous video about arrests at green card interviews. Now it's happening at citizenship interviews. So who is at risk to be arrested at your citizenship interview? Number one, individuals flagged by ICE, for example, national security concerns like the student because of his involvement in pro-Palestinian protests. Number two, green card holders with immigration violations like fraud, misrepresentation, and pending removal orders. Number three, unresolved criminal history, outstanding warrants, things like that could get you arrested at the interview. Finally, discrepancies in your documents and fraudulent documents will get you arrested at the interview. Things are getting harder. Speak with an attorney and follow me for daily update.
Imagine working so hard at something in your life, something you're so proud of that you're telling all of your family about it, all of your friends, you're bragging about it online, and right before you get to the finish, someone takes it away from you and they steal it. That's what just happened to immigrants at their US citizenship ceremonies. And unless you've seen one of those ceremonies, you might not understand how brutal this really is. A citizenship ceremony is the finish line. If you're in that room, you've already passed everything. Background checks, fingerprints, interviews, English exams, a civics test that most Americans can't even pass. And you proved your job, your taxes, your residency, your entire life here. And the government has already said yes. The oath is supposed to be the celebration. But instead of celebrating, officers started walking into those ceremonies and quietly pulling certain people aside. No explanation, no issue with their paperwork. They separated them from everyone else and asked them one question. What country were you born in? And if the answer was El Salvador, Guatemala, or Honduras, their naturalization was canceled on the spot. Not because they lied, not because they failed a test, and not because they did anything wrong. These are people who did everything right for years, and they still had their future stolen from them seconds before crossing the finish line. Imagine that embarrassment. Your family came to watch the happiest moment of your life, and they showed up proud. They got dressed up, they're waiting to take photos of you becoming an American, something that you've worked for and sacrificed for, dreamed about. And suddenly, you're being pulled away in front of everyone. And while everybody else is celebrating, you're standing there devastated, humiliated, and confused, with no answers and no closure. And here's the part that should terrify everybody. If the government can stop your citizenship at the last second, what's stopping them from going further? What if they don't reschedule you? What if the next step is removal? Imagine going from inches away from being a US citizen to suddenly being at risk of being sent back to the country you fled. after doing everything this country asked of you. And if this can happen to people who followed every single rule, then the rule doesn't mean anything anymore. Make sure you follow me here if you want more stories like this that the news won't show you.
All right, y'all, you heard that. This is happening, and it's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere. So ICE is showing up at these citizenship interviews and where they do oath for citizenship, and they are grabbing people now. And it doesn't even matter if you bring your lawyer with you. It does not matter. They once they grab you, you're not going to finish that interview. You're not going to get your swearing in. It's over. So now it's not just the courts that they're grabbing people. They are going well beyond that. So they're dead serious, you know? Like I said, the Most High is shutting it down. He's not letting people become citizens in this land anymore. That's the thing of the past. So these folks, they're going to have no choice but to leave. Eventually, if you were not born here, it doesn't matter how long you've been here, you're going to have to go. You're going to have to go. Period. So, y'all, I just wanted to get you up to date on this. And like I said, out in California, they're grabbing up all kinds of, ever since the shooting of the National Guard soldiers in DC, they are grabbing up those nationalists from Afghanistan, and they are deporting them. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. So in the meantime, everybody have a wonderful night, and we'll do this all over again tomorrow. Shalom, family.